Have you ever noticed how some moments refuse to leave you? A single conversation keeps replaying in your mind. A relationship that ended years ago still feels unfinished. A mistake you made long ago continues to shape the way you see yourself. You tell yourself it's time to move on. Yet something inside quietly holds on. If you're searching for inner peace, mental healing, self-healing, inner calm, and mental strength, you may have discovered that the hardest thing isn't facing life's challenges. It's letting go of what no longer serves you. Most people believe they suffer because they lose people, opportunities, or possessions. But what if the real suffering begins long after the loss? What if it's created by the mind's refusal to release what has already changed? Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze it, the faster it slips through your fingers. The harder you try to hold on, the more painful the experience becomes. Life often works the same way. We cling to memories because they once made us happy. We cling to expectations because they make us feel safe. We cling to old versions of ourselves because they feel familiar. But while life continues to move forward, our minds quietly remain in yesterday. That invisible struggle slowly steals today's peace. More than 2,500 years ago, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, began searching for the reason behind this universal experience. He wasn't searching for a way to avoid loss. He was searching for a way to live without being imprisoned by it. According to the earliest Buddhist teachings, he discovered that suffering is not caused simply by change itself. Change is part of life. What creates much of our suffering is our attachment to the belief that things should never change. Think about that for a moment. Every season changes. Every river keeps flowing. Every sunrise becomes another sunset. Nature never resists change. Only the human mind does. And perhaps that's why letting go feels so difficult. Not because your heart is weak, but because your mind keeps trying to make yesterday last forever. In the next few minutes, we'll explore what the Buddha truly meant by attachment and why understanding this single idea may become the first step toward lasting inner peace and genuine emotional freedom. When many people hear the word attachment, they assume the Buddha was teaching us not to love. But that's one of the biggest misunderstandings of his philosophy. The Buddha never suggested that we stop caring about people. He never said that relationships, family, or success were wrong. According to the earliest Buddhist teachings, the problem was never love itself. The problem begins when love quietly turns into possession, when appreciation becomes dependence, when happiness depends on something remaining exactly as it is. Imagine standing beneath a beautiful cherry blossom tree. For a few weeks, the flowers cover every branch. Then, one by one, the petals begin to fall. You could spend every day trying to glue the petals back onto the tree. Or you could quietly appreciate their beauty, knowing they were never meant to last forever. Life asks us to do the same. Every relationship changes. Every achievement fades. Every chapter eventually comes to an end. This isn't a punishment. It's the nature of life itself. The Buddha observed that we suffer most when we confuse temporary experiences with permanent possessions. We say, "This should always be mine. This feeling should never end. This person should never leave." But reality has its own rhythm. The river keeps flowing. The seasons keep changing. Time never stops. The more we demand that life remain unchanged, the more we struggle against something no one has ever been able to control. Ask yourself this simple question: am I holding on because it brings me peace, or because I'm afraid of what life will feel like without it? Sometimes the answer is uncomfortable, but it's also freeing, because the moment you recognize your attachment, you also discover that it doesn't have to define you forever. The Buddha's wisdom wasn't about giving up on life. It was about learning to love deeply without becoming trapped by fear, control, or the constant need for life to stay the same. And perhaps true inner strength isn't found in holding on. Perhaps it's found in knowing when to gently let go. What makes the Buddha's teaching so powerful is that it isn't only about ancient times. It speaks directly to the way we live today. We become attached to our identity, to our careers, to the image we want others to see, to expectations we've carried for years. And without realizing it, We begin measuring our worth by things that can change at any moment. Modern psychology offers a similar perspective. While different approaches explain it in different ways, many encourage us to notice when we are becoming fused with our thoughts, emotions, or self-image instead of treating them as our entire identity. Losing a job doesn't mean you've lost your value. A failed relationship doesn't mean you're unworthy of love. A mistake doesn't define the rest of your life. These experiences are part of your story. They are not the whole story. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase everywhere you go. At first, you believe it's necessary. Over time, you forget you're even carrying it. Only when you finally put it down do you realize how much energy it was taking from you. Emotional attachment can feel the same. We hold on to old pain because it feels familiar. We replay old memories because they seem important. We resist change because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. But every moment spent clinging to yesterday is a moment we cannot fully experience today. Here's a simple practice. The next time you notice yourself holding on to something that no longer serves you, pause and ask, am I protecting my peace or protecting my attachment? Don't force an answer. Just sit with the question. Sometimes awareness is the first step toward freedom. Sometimes healing begins the moment we stop fighting reality and start accepting it. Because letting go isn't losing something valuable. Sometimes it's making space for something new to enter your life. And that quiet space is often where mental healing, inner calm, and lasting self-healing begin. Imagine waking up tomorrow with the same life, the same responsibilities, the same memories, the same people around you. But one thing has changed. You no longer feel the need to hold on to everything. You begin to understand that peace doesn't come from controlling life. It comes from learning to flow with it. The Buddha never promised a life without loss. He never claimed that pain could be avoided. Instead, he showed that suffering becomes lighter when we stop resisting what has already changed. This doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean loving people any less. It means loving without trying to possess, working without tying your worth to success, dreaming without fearing every possible failure. Real freedom begins the moment you realize that your peace was never hidden inside another person, another achievement, or another moment from the past. It has always existed within your own awareness. So here's a simple practice for the next 24 hours. Choose one thing you've been holding on to. It might be a regret, a disappointment, an expectation, or a memory that still weighs on your heart. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask a different question. What becomes possible if I stop carrying this today? You don't have to force yourself to forget. You don't have to pretend the pain never existed. Simply loosen your grip, just a little. Sometimes healing doesn't arrive through holding on harder. Sometimes it arrives through the quiet courage to release what no longer belongs to you. Perhaps that was one of the Buddha's greatest lessons. You don't find inner peace by stopping life from changing. You find it by discovering that your calm can remain, even while everything around you changes. And the day you stop clinging to what was, is often the day you finally become free to live what is.